Yo, what is good, my anime people? What is good, yo? So with a mob showing up with some weird content out of nowhere, we had to talk about it, and I wanted to find some psychic using characters, like psychic ability using characters, but to be fair, Saitama was literally in this week's episode two times on Reigen's cell phone, so I think this works just fine by using Saitama. But overall, man, we are in such a weird time where we get this type of stuff before another season gets like an actual like release date and stuff like that. I love when animes know that their fans are just craving for some different types of stuff. So this week's episode not only gives us a good understanding now of our new member and kind of just like his tendencies on what he might do in certain situations that might not be so helpful for Reigen. But at the same time, it's just good for us to have that much more firepower on our hands because we do have some pretty strong kids. Mob and his brother, now the blonde kid, they all seem like they're all pretty good and close and stuff, but we're still at a point now where anytime anything like strong as Mob shows up, only Mob can handle it if he cuts loose, right? Like if he actually wants to win. That's the only way we're going to see that. So to have that be in the back of your mind and knowing that, if anything shows up that's around Mob's power, we're about to see something crazy, ridiculous hype. So that's always cool, but at the same time, it's kind of obvious, right? Like it's obvious that he's going to be the one to step up and do this stuff. So I feel like these other characters are a really good plot device to give us, people trying to solve cases or solve things with Reigen if he wants to. He has like 3 different people he can call into now. Sure, he probably won't want to call Mob's brother, or maybe even the other guy, but after hearing that Reigen helped him and like he appreciates Reigen, it's a good sign that he would be willing to help him on some certain things that maybe Mob just doesn't show up to help with or something along those lines. I'm not sure what they're gonna do, but at the same time, it feels like an easy slam dunk with how good these characters really are. In the case of just like watching them, like it's always nice to see certain characters on screen and then seeing these characters that I truly enjoy just talking and working with each other is beyond what I expected today. I did not expect, well, it came out yesterday night actually, and I was watching some of it, but I wanted to have it fresh in my mind when I got back on and made the video, so I waited until today to actually fully watch it through. But the moral of this whole episode, and I don't know if there's more to come after this, but there's a family out there that's dedicated itself to worshiping a certain like entity, and because of this worship, it's always been like treated quite well and nice. So for it to be like that, and one of the people who were worshiping it, they gained the ability of psychic power, like they awoke into it, and somehow, some way, the link between them and the people worshiping and the thing they're worshiping got muggy, and supposedly the worship was like a sealing thing, but once they get colds, that seal then becomes weakened, allowing that deity or whatever to do what it wants to. And what it wanted to do was like create a whole parallel dimension where it's practically just a sleep dimension. If you fall asleep while it's active, you then get put into asleep. Like, you can't wake up, and not only can you not wake up, you have to have psychic abilities to pretty much be able to leave it in the first place or enter it, I guess, right? Um, but all it looked like was if they entered it, right? If all the people that we know entered in the same way that our guy kept entering, I'm guessing that means he literally just crawled back into bed and fell asleep, right? Like, that's the only explanation I could think of him being able to be like going in and out so easily. So this man leaves the train, leaving Reigen in there in the parallel world or whatever dimension, having the time of his life, getting a spa day, getting some food, watching some TV, and then getting talked to some kids about love, which he hasn't talked to a woman in 20 something years, and that woman was his mom. It was all good in the hood, and then the main reason why he thought Reigen didn't need or wanted anything was the simple fact because he read something in his, like, a book about business, that if his boss isn't distressed or isn't in trouble, you just let him do what he's doing, and that's what Reigen kept showing. It was all Reigen's fault for, hiding what was going on and in his mind and stuff. But of course he doesn't want to be looked at a certain type of way by this new person, so he did only thing he could do and lied and act like he knew exactly what was going on. And then guess what happens when you pretend you know exactly what's going on? You get treated like you know what's going on. So he kept leaving Reigen like, oh well, that's Reigen, he's got this, he's the one who pretty much tells Mob what to do and handles all of that stuff. So I'm just the new guy here. They don't need me. So absolutely hilarious. Just finding out how much trouble and like this guy Reigen was absolutely losing his mind in there, and to see them come out and him just be so happy and relieved. Or not even when they came out, like when he saw him come out with new clothes, brought him some rice and some water that actually tasted good and was filling him up. he was pretty mad, and it's rightfully so, right? Because this guy literally has been leaving this whole entire dimension, and not only did he leave it, and he knew that whatever he was doing was such, he then goes like out there and they ask about Reigen and why he's sleeping, and he's like, oh, he's such a hard worker, man. Like, even when we could be out here enjoying all this with y'all, he's out there working his butt off. Like, which to be fair, he doesn't think Reigen's just some garbage, human that has been lying about having abilities and stuff like that. So he doesn't think that about him, which would really probably change his perspective on the situation if he knew that. I think the only real person who kind of knows is the brother and the ghost, right? Like, no one Reigen's been just doing that good of a job of keeping it under wraps like that for a while. So yeah, now we gotta just see where all this can even like go now, because at the end of the day, I've seen a good amount of this like mob show, and it never felt like Reigen was going to be like taken out just because of like what he brings to the table, like him being around is practically enough for this whole entire show to feel less like it needs a funny character, it needs a serious character, and it needs a powerful character. And Reigen is definitely the funniest character out of all of them. The serious character has kind of been put on the role of the brother now, and the powerful character is Mob, because Mob still does not take everything truly serious, right? I mean, if he took everything serious, he would probably see through Reigen real quick. I mean, how come you can sense all these other people's psychic powers, and then you could look at Reigen and he feels like every other human that you come across? Um, it's funny. That's the stuff that I really enjoy. But knowing that Saitama is still also somewhere in this world, or weirdly not in the world, but is known by the characters, I still want to know how that works. I mean, they actually are, because there was a panel of mobs sitting down looking for very powerful psychics, and Saitama was one person he saw and was freaking out about, right? So they do exist in the same universe. It just comes down now to, will their paths ever cross? And if their paths ever did cross, would Mob even have a reason to fight against him? And I think they would put them up against each other for a little bit, like a misunderstanding, and then team up or something. That would be absolutely hype. Like some, well, I don't know how to put it. Like Saitama's world with all the monsters showing up and him beating them up and killing them, and then Mob's world where these psychics kind of just show up, or there's psychic organizations already in motion and they're just getting stronger and stronger. All this different stuff, all kind of like the same kind of stories happen amongst the same characters, and supposedly they live in the same area, but you never hear about the events that transpire in each other's shows, you know. So that's always kind of a hard line to kind of put into a show, or into coexisting characters in the same place. Like, why hasn't the hero organization heard about a kid that is extremely powerful, or all these espers that are young and powerful? I mean, Tornado is pretty much the female version of Mob or something, you know. Like, she's very, very powerful with psychic powers, but do we think Mob is, you know, beyond Tornado? Which I do. So I don't know. It's stuff like that that's really fun to think about, if Mob ever were to cross over, or vice versa. So with all that being said, I am your boy, the Anime G. I do not know how many episodes are coming with this thing. I tried to look up a little bit of information on the places I saw it on, but they didn't know either. They were just, here's episode 1, and they didn't put like out of 3, or anything like that to give you like a clear indicator of what you're getting yourself into. But if there's a good amount of episodes, or if there's just 1, 2, 3 episodes, I'll let you know in the next one. Or if you don't see me posting anything, that's probably a good sign. I might forget to like go in the comment section and write like there's no more, or something like that, by the time I find out. But I got so close to winning, and she hits me with an ultimate. I'm sad. I hope you guys are having an awesome day, night, evening, whatever the case may be when you're watching this. I will definitely talk to you guys in the next one. So with that, dang it, and peace. Let me smash this person with Saitama for y'all though.